Kellen Moore recaps the Saints' loss to the Chargers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is after the first preseason game. Kellen Moore. So you've heard what I've had to say, right? You've heard I live streamed the game for 4 hours. You've heard what everyone has to say. Let's hear what Kellen Moore has to say about the performance of the Saints.
Start with the overview. Obviously, first opportunity for our group to come together for the 2025 season. I thought there's obviously some good, some bad, some lessons along the way, which is...
By the way, I know a lot of people are going to say, James, you're not wearing a hat. I am wearing a hat. It's camouflage.
It's all to be expected for this group as we continue to build this thing each and every day. On the medical side, Will Clapp, Trevor Penning obviously came out of the game. We'll see how those guys go. Bub came out, and then Mason Pline there. So,
couple of updates. Will Clapp, I believe, is having season-ending foot surgery, or that's what it's looking like. Bub Means has an ankle injury. I think he's seeking a second opinion. Sounds like he's going to miss some time one way or the other. So those are the two updates I have. I haven't heard anything on Penning or anyone else.
We'll see how those guys go. We'll get a report back as we go. But, great lessons for our guys. I think this will be an awesome first step, and we'll keep building.
What would you make of from those injuries that was significant? I know the card came out a couple times.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Obviously, some guys will go through some testing and get some clarity as we go. But, we'll see how.
What would you make of the quarterback performance that you saw today?
Yeah, I think for all three, there's going to be some good moments. There's going to be some moments we want to have back. We get to learn from those, get better this week. I thought, Spence did some good stuff coming out of there, using his feet in some situations where he had some avoided zone areas. He was able to make some plays out of it. Probably for us, just playing some situational football, we were close on getting in the range for some points, and we just weren't able to get those things done. Tyler played a little bit more just between the second and third quarter. Great 2-minute drive right before the half. I thought he did some really good things there. He felt under control. I thought he managed the situations really, really well. You throw a pick, you got to respond. And obviously no one wants to throw an interception. The way he responded was really, really good. For him to come back and handle that, from an emotional standpoint really well. I thought that was awesome. And then he made a big play to tip there. And
I let him go. Great answer. That's pretty much it. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. No one, knocked my socks off. I think it was a pretty... there's no one's going to say after that game that Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler are MVP level. They've seen enough. These guys are incredible. Whatever. No one's going to say that, right? No one should say that either were bad either. I think it's one of those things where we live in a society where it's hard to answer anything with meh. In today's world, it's either the worst thing of all time or the best thing of all time. Very rarely, and this goes for TV shows, movies, restaurants, anything. Very rarely is something just meh. And I would categorize the Saints' performance as a whole as meh. And I would categorize the two quarterbacks' performance as a whole as meh. And in the first preseason game, a lot of people have texted me or tweeted at me or whatever and said, what do we take away from this game? And it's there's not much you can take away from it, right? You can take away that Kelvin Banks is awesome. I don't know if y'all saw the PFF stat. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Kelvin Banks, boom. 84.9 pass blocking grade, 12 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. All right, we can go ahead and... Kelvin Banks is good. You can also kind of look at players who really were bad and were out of that gray area. Who was good, who was bad? Bad, I thought Dylan Radins was terrible. I thought Jake Haener was terrible. The other guard was terrible, Hegler or whatever. Stoll was bad. Foskey was probably the worst player on the field, not named Trey Lance. Those guys were bad. Good, Banks, Stutzman, Ugo Amadi was really good in this game. Players like that who really helped themselves with a really good performance. But the ones that fell in that middle, Tulise Fuaga was good. He'd also be put in the good tier. But the players that fell in the middle, and there was a lot of them, I think both quarterbacks fall in that middle. You got 2 more preseason games to figure it out.
Jake, just the way it played out, Jake only had those last 2 drives. He hopped in there, obviously, unfortunately. He had us moving, and then, unfortunately, the pick again. So, a big lesson for us is just we got to protect the football.
When it comes to Tyler, is that the stuff you were talking about, learning from your mistakes and just flushing him and getting back out there in the field and having those type of big plays?
No doubt.
I think that's also kudos to Kellen Moore as a quarterback for understanding, okay, my rookie second-round pick, Tyler Shough, who's had a ton of adversity over the last couple of weeks, throws a pick 6. And what does he do the following drive? Kellen puts him in a situation to, hey, let's take a shot here. Let's get it back. It would have been easy for a coach to say, all right, threw a pick six. Let's try and keep everything in front. Let's just try and, I don't want to see a route. I don't want to see a dangerous route. Just leave it all in front, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and let's get the hell out of this game. But I think Kellen understood, look, we got to see how he bounces back. We got to see where his mental is here. He comes in here, the biggest spot of his life, throws a pick six. He's not happy about it. All right, let's ask him to throw a deep ball.
Don't want to create turnovers. We want to avoid those as best we can. But the way these guys respond is really, really critical to us because that's what's going to happen in this league as you go through these seasons. And so, I thought he did a great job. We'll learn from the interception. We'll learn from that one. We'll grow. But his response is really valuable.
During the year, we go through every game, every box score, every week, and we grade it as either fair or fugazi or whatever. We try and find some weird little things because this is how you find an edge in determining what teams are really good, what teams are really bad, what teams got lucky, what team, whatever. So when you see this final score, you would assume the Chargers dominated this game, right? Well, if you look at the box score, the Saints had more first downs, they had more yards, they had a better YPP, or we'll call it even, whatever. They had and more time of possession. It's difficult to lose a game when all those things are in your favor. It's really difficult to lose a game by 14 when all those are in your favor. The one equaling factor always is turnovers. That's always the answer. The way you lose this game is this. -2 in the turnover battle. That's how you do it, especially when one is a pick six. So if I showed you this box score and I didn't show you the final score, and I asked you who won this game, you'd probably think the Saints until you saw that. Until you saw the defensive special team touchdown and the 3 picks. So I'm not saying the Saints did well, but the Chargers didn't come out here and light the world on fire. We'll do one more real quick just to show y'all kind of how to do this. Let's look at Giants-Bills. It's a random game. So the most important ones are yards per play. Man, I can already tell you this is a fugazi box score. Yards per play, usually rushing, yards per rush, but it's hard when you have backups in to look at that one. And then time of possession is crucial as well. Buffalo so they equal first downs, equal total yards. Giants have a little bit more. Buffalo being almost 2 yards per play, almost 2 yards per play higher and losing is pretty wild. Turnover battle, they lost the turnover battle, and they lost possession by 13 minutes. So that explains the yards per play discrepancy. So this box score is probably about right. Maybe it probably should have been closer to like 34-28 or 34-30. Or maybe even 34-31, but the Giants probably did deserve this game. Yeah, probably. But anyways, so just a quick look. That's just how we grade box scores throughout the season.
Was the plan always for Tyler Shough to sort of see the majority or the bulk of snaps, or is that just kind of how things played out?
We're going to be fairly close, but just the way the circumstance of the rotation in the series worked, he ended up getting a little bit more. But we had some flexibility within that schedule.
Was calling that play that double move touchdown to Mason right after that interception kind of intentional on your part to you have an opportunity to get that back basically?
Certainly felt like he handled it really well. He hopped back out there. We were moving the ball again
exactly
right after the interception. We got in a situation where we had a 1st and 10, had an opportunity to be a little bit aggressive, and I think that's the beauty of these quarterbacks. If we can call it aggressive, take what they give you, and they don't give you those shots, you can find completions underneath it. That's a great way to play.
Can you talk about that play, if you don't mind? Was that something you had seen building a little bit that might work, and then the reactions from both Mason and Tyler?
I think you're just always looking for when or double move opportunities present for yourself, and you're always looking at the DBs, and they're certainly making big time plays, and so there reaches a point where you got to get them settled in a little bit, be aggressive, and those guys did a great job.
What did you like about the 2-minute drill? Because that was his first opportunity. It was a 2-minute drill.
It was also smart. It's also Kellen Moore pulling the strings, where 2-minute drill is a quarterback's best friend. Quick, fast, play with tempo, one read. The defense is usually kind of, I don't want to say in prevent, but they're dropped back a little bit. They just don't want to get beat deep. So you kind of have a softer defense. So you can get some completions, get warmed up, go into the half with a little bit of momentum. That was smart by Kellen as well.
Yeah. Not the script you paint that say, hey, your first.
What I would also tell you about that, and this is me just hypothesizing, is that Kellen, I don't want to say tipped his hand, but that is absolutely something you do for Tyler Shough to help out Tyler Shough. And he could have done the same thing for Spencer Rattler. He could have 100% said, hey, Spencer, do this 2-minute drive, finish out the drive, get some momentum going, and then we'll play Tyler in the second half. But I'm not saying that Kellen showed that he's, kind of helping Tyler out, but
Drive is going to be a 2-minute drive right before half, but just the way the series worked, that's what presented itself. I thought he just did a really good job. Just found completions, handled it really well, understood the situations, when we can use the sideline, when we can take completions, get in field position, even at the end, understanding that situation where we have no timeouts and, hey, we want to get a shot in the end zone, but if it's not there, we got to protect the field goal opportunity. I thought he did a really good job there.
What was your review of that incomplete pass down the sideline to Kevin Austin? Did you feel like you put that in the right spot, or could have had?
It was close. Yeah, it was close. It was really, really close. Obviously, those are one of those you want back. You're really close, but he responded after it really well.
Can you, from a quarterback's perspective, can you take us through the pick six and what you saw and how he can avoid that?
It'll be a great one for me to see on film. Obviously, you don't get the perfect angle going into this. I thought the corner made a tremendous play. He played.
He did, but, it was also whoopsie-poopsie across the board from Tyler. Bad read, bad throw, bad decision, just bad across the board. Good play by the defender, no doubt. The cornerback from Wake Forest probably doesn't make that play. That probably is okay to do at Louisville. Not okay in the NFL.
It really flat, and he never really moved off his spot, and so, certainly something to evaluate.
Tyler said the other day that he thought, especially in the scrimmages, that after a couple weeks of kind of thinking his way through installing plays, that when it became football, he thought he was playing his best. Has that been your internal review as well?
I would say just for all these guys, just when you get to more and more of these call-it situations and these scrimmages that we'll have moving forward with these preseason games, ultimately that's how we play the game. And there's an installation process that we've gone through, certainly when we were in Metairie, and that's all part of the education part of this thing. But ultimately it's about playing games, reacting to situations, and I think our guys are getting more and more comfortable with that.
How about guys who warmed up that were not playing in the game?
Yes.
What was the reasoning?
Yeah, we just had a plan of action for those guys as far as, they got a little extra work yesterday. They weren't going to play in this game. We just wanted them to go through the routine of pregame with everyone else. And then obviously once they got to the point where they weren't going to play, dress down and support those guys.
How was this experience for you as your
Good question. I was wondering if someone would ask. This is his first game as a head coach.
coach experience on the field?
Really, really good process. I think you focus on the process, make sure we're operating at a really high level, just especially the coaching staff on the headsets, on the sideline.
I love that he's talking about that because the operational infrastructure is something that Dennis Allen made. One of the worst things that he did was operational infrastructure. Logistics and ops is a ton of being a head coach. Everything from travel to what time you're doing stuff to walkthroughs to what color Gatorade you're drinking to the headsets to the everything. It's not just about offense and defense. It's about the whole thing. What are you wearing? What's the team wearing? What are they wearing on the bus? What time do they got to be in? When's curfew? All those things are part of being a head coach. That was missing big time with Dennis Allen, and Sean Payton was really, really good at that. I think Kellen is going to have the attention to detail to factor that stuff in. Whether he'll be good or bad at it is to be determined, but I think he is at least factoring it into the game plan.
All the communication that goes into this thing, I think, a lot of good stuff there. Certainly there's things that we're going to learn and grow from in every aspect of this organization.
Kellen, you didn't run the ball very well with the running backs. Does
Yeah.
that make it harder on all the quarterbacks?
No doubt. We certainly.
Yeah, you can't listen. Whether it's Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler, you are going to have to run the football. And the guard play, some of the offensive line play, after Kelvin Banks and Talise Fuaga came out of there, good God almighty. Hellacious. Really bad. If we're running for 3 yards a carry, we're going to have a horrible season. I am gambling. I'm betting that Eric McCoy, Alvin Kamara, Talise Fuaga, Kelvin Banks for an entire game makes a difference. But, man, we can't have that. We cannot have games. I mean, guys, y'all were here last year. If we have games where Spencer Rattler is leading the team in rushing and Dante Pettis is the most targeted player and Mason Tipton is the playmaker, we aren't going to win games. But what have we said all offseason? That was last year. This year's different. This year will be Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, better offensive line. Hopefully that's the case. But, man, this preseason game looked a lot like every single game last year.
I feel like, we need to run the football better than we did today. Missed some opportunities there. Weren't able to get, any explosives really out of it. And so something that, we got to focus in. We got to play better in that aspect.
Torricelli, obviously, probably didn't anticipate him getting that many snaps at center, but how did you think he did?
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Awesome
really good.
for him to.
Friend of mine played at a high level, played at Rhodes, third-team All-American. First thing he said was how good he played.
Hop in there that quickly and just essentially play the whole game at center. I mean, your first game in the NFL, preseason football, and then you get thrown in there just like that. His response was phenomenal. I thought he did an incredible job.
I've heard people say to move him to guard and let McCoy play center and move him to guard. Already, I'm hearing that.
And there was Shough McVay said they're trying to work on getting a joint practice with you this coming week. Is that something you anticipate getting done?
We're working through that process right now. Yeah, we'll see. We'll probably get some clarity by the end of today. We're just coming out of this game with the medical aspect of it. We're going to see where we're at.
And just from your perspective, seeing Mason Tipton kind of build on last year and to see this kind of come to fruition in a game is something we haven't seen before. So.
Awesome play by him. Phenomenal play.
Yeah, I mean, that was a hell of a route. I'll tell you that. He laughed, the defensive back.
I thought he played really well today as far as just, he played hard, he played aggressive. He's a really good player, and we're excited about his future with us.
You know what I've noticed about Mason Tipton is that he must be a really hard worker because whenever motivation and hard work wins on the field, where is that? Practice, training camp, preseason. Guys that are playing hard and are max motivated are going to look good because some players are taking, it becomes a factor. Where it is not a factor, where everyone is max motivated, is the regular season. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Mason is really good during practice and camp, but he kind of gets lost in the regular season. And I think he's just a really hard worker, and in those moments, hard work wins.
I know the run game didn't necessarily get off the ground the way that you wanted, but in the passing game and in the return game, he looked like he stood out. What was your impression?
He certainly made some impact plays in this game. The completions where you just find him out in space and he's able to make plays. I mean, that's the beauty of what Bayless presents. And so he did an excellent job there. He did an excellent job in the return game. Certainly he showed well today.
Yeah, Bayless, he was an interesting game because he started off slow. The jet sweep, I thought he could have scored. And then he picked it up in the return game, and then as the game kept going, he got better. So it might be one of those things where, physically, like against ones and against a better defense, maybe he gets lost as well. But the back half of the game, I thought he played pretty well. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go, straight from Kellen's mouth. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.